Have you ever found yourself trapped in a conversation where the other person is all aggression and no reason? Their tone sharp as a knife, words designed to cut deep, a simple disagreement escalating into a storm of accusations. You're overwhelmed, feel you have to defend yourself, and wonder how things got so out of hand. Moments like these test not only our patience but also our ability to remain calm. The instinct to retaliate is incredibly strong, a drive to fight fire with fire, to an eye for an eye. But is there a smarter way, a way that not only protects your dignity, but also makes the aggressor reflect on their own behavior? Stoicism offers us timeless tools to navigate even the most heated confrontations with grace and strength. Instead of reacting impulsively, these techniques allow you to calmly steer the conversation, leaving your counterpart no choice but to reconsider their actions. Today, we will explore 6 verbal tricks inspired by the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. These will not only help you maintain your composure, but also gently nudge an aggressive person toward realizing the futility of their hostility. Before we dive into the details, I want to take a moment to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you for the incredible support you've shown the channel. Creating these videos is a joy, but it's your thoughtful and encouraging comments that truly make it worthwhile. I read every single one. If this is your first time here, please hit the like button and turn on notifications so YouTube can help more people like you discover this content. While you watch the video, think back to a time when someone's aggression pushed you to the limit, when you felt cornered, misunderstood, or tempted to respond with anger yourself. These principles are not just theoretical, they are transformative. With practice, you'll find that even when faced with the worst of others, you can still maintain the best of yourself. So let's embark on this transformative journey together, shall we? Are you ready? Part 1. Identifying hidden assumptions when words are traps. 1. Recognize hidden assumptions behind words. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where the other person asks a question not to understand, but to force you into agreeing with an underlying assumption? These seemingly harmless questions often act as traps, forcing you to accept a viewpoint that you never consciously endorsed. This is not just a simple psychological tactic. It's a subtle way to strip you of your autonomy in the dialogue. The most dangerous thing is that if you don't recognize it, you might unknowingly fall into their trap. I remember a situation like that during an important meeting. A colleague, whom I always thought of as direct and honest, suddenly asked, "Do we really want to pursue an idea that most people are clearly against?" On the surface, it seemed like a simple question aimed at seeking consensus. But hidden beneath, it carried an assumption that the idea I was advocating was lacking support. If I had reacted impulsively, I would have unintentionally validated this false premise. Instead, I paused, remained calm, and replied, "I wasn't aware that this approach was widely opposed. Has anyone shared contrary opinions that I might have missed?" This response not only dismantled the hidden assumption, but also steered the conversation towards a more balanced and constructive discussion. Interestingly, when others started expressing their actual views, the idea I had supported turned out to have much more backing than I initially realized. In personal relationships, these hidden assumptions can manifest in different ways. I recall reconnecting with an old friend, and during our chat they asked, "Are you still clinging to those odd ideas you used to share back then?" The question caught me off guard, implying that my beliefs were eccentric or strange. Responding defensively or with irritation would only have heightened the tension. Instead, I smiled and said, "It seems you find those ideas unusual. I'd love to hear why you feel that way." This approach not only diffused a potential conflict, but also opened the door for a meaningful discussion. As I listened to their perspective, I realized that what they considered odd was simply a difference in our worldviews. Stoicism teaches us that inner peace does not come from controlling what others say or do, but from mastering how we respond. When faced with questions loaded with assumptions, it's crucial to remain calm and not let emotions take over or allow others to manipulate your thoughts. Imagine a family situation where a relative asks, "Do you really think you know better than everyone else here?" In such a case, instead of reacting hastily, a Stoic might calmly respond, "I don't think that at all, but I would really like to hear everyone's thoughts on this issue." This response not only dismantles the hidden assumption, but also demonstrates respect for others while maintaining your composure. Recognizing and challenging implicit assumptions not only helps you avoid unnecessary disputes, but also preserves your self-respect and core values. A Stoic understands that unnecessary conflicts lead only to discomfort and resentment. By mastering the art of staying calm, you protect your inner peace and invite more meaningful conversations. Most importantly, you show that you are not easily swayed by external pressures. Always remember that you have the right to stand firm in your beliefs without engaging in unnecessary arguments. This is the Stoic approach to life, protecting your tranquility, staying true to your values, and speaking your mind honestly. By rejecting external assumptions and maintaining clarity, you not only safeguard your peace, but also encourage others to reconsider their own hidden agendas, leading to deeper and more authentic exchanges. We need to understand that language is a powerful tool, and sometimes it is used dishonestly. Hidden assumptions aren't always intentional attacks. Sometimes they stem from a lack of thought or a difference in understanding. However, whatever the motive, we need to be aware of them to react effectively. When you encounter a question containing an assumption, take a moment to analyze the situation. What is really being asked? Are there any hidden motives? You can ask a reverse question to clarify the situation. This will help you respond consciously rather than reacting instinctively. Calmness is a powerful weapon in communication. When you remain calm, you can think more clearly, give smarter responses, and avoid being drawn into unnecessary arguments. Active listening is not just hearing the words, but also trying to understand the meaning behind them. Try to understand the other person's viewpoint, even if you don't agree with it. This will help you build empathy and find common ground. When you respond, use clear and specific language. Avoid using vague or misleading language. This will help you avoid being misunderstood and may steer the conversation in a positive direction. Practical example. In everyday life, we can encounter many similar situations. For example, a colleague might ask, "Why are you working so slowly?" This question implies that you are not working efficiently. Instead of responding defensively, you could ask, "What do you mean when you say I am working slowly? Is there a specific area you feel I need to improve?" Don't be manipulated. Those who use hidden assumptions often try to manipulate you by making you feel guilty or needing to defend yourself. Remember that you have the right not to participate in their game. You can choose not to answer or to answer politely and decisively. Build boundaries. You have the right to build boundaries in your relationships. This means that you have the right to decide how you want to be treated. If someone continuously uses hidden assumptions to attack you, you have the right to say no and end the conversation. Practice patience. To master this art of communication, you need to practice patience. You won't become an expert overnight. However, if you are persistent in your practice, you will find yourself getting better at recognizing and dealing with hidden assumptions. Number 2, escape the trap of distorted words. Have you ever witnessed a situation where someone's words were twisted so much that they barely resembled what they originally said? These moments not only confuse the speaker, but also often force them into defensively justifying themselves, dragging them into unnecessary arguments. These verbal traps are not always innocent misunderstandings, but are often deliberate tactics to manipulate and control the conversation. In such moments, calmness and wisdom become not only your weapon, but also your shield against provocation. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies not in controlling what others say, but in mastering how we respond. I recall a time when I witnessed a colleague falling into such a trap during an important meeting. She, known for her enthusiasm and innovative ideas, suggested a way to streamline processes for better efficiency. Another colleague, who seemed averse to change, twisted her proposal into a criticism, saying it implied that all existing processes were ineffective. It was clear this was not her intention. I observed as she paused, took a deep breath, and calmly replied, "I'm not saying all current processes are ineffective. What I'm suggesting is that we could enhance a few areas to achieve better outcomes." Her response not only clarified her original point, but also highlighted the absurdity of the misrepresentation, leaving no room for further distortion. Such situations are not uncommon. Verbal traps are often built on exaggeration or misrepresentation, pushing the targeted individual to react impulsively, potentially escalating the conflict. But by maintaining composure and controlling your response, you can safeguard your perspective while commanding respect from those around you. A Stoic would never allow such situations to provoke them into overreacting. Instead, they use clarity and wisdom to steer the conversation constructively. I have also seen this happen in a discussion between two friends. One, while sharing a personal perspective on a social issue, was interrupted with a sarcastic remark that painted their viewpoint as irrational. Instead of reacting emotionally or defensively, the other friend responded gently, "I see you have a different perspective. I'd like to understand more about your thoughts on this issue." This reply not only diffused the tension, but also invited a sincere, meaningful discussion. Observing this exchange, I realized that how we react to challenging situations reflects not only our maturity, but also determines the course of the conversation. Stoicism emphasizes that inner peace is achieved not by controlling others' behavior, but by mastering your emotional reactions. When you notice someone distorting your words or those of others, choose to respond with calmness and precision. There's no need to become defensive or feel attacked. Instead, reiterate your stance clearly and guide the conversation back to its core, reflecting on the true purpose of each discussion. Reflecting on the true purpose of every discussion is a way to navigate psychological traps. Is it worth engaging in a heated argument, or is it better to stand firm and foster a positive dialogue? As Epictetus once said, "If someone can provoke you, it is because your mind has consented to their provocation." Keep your composure and clarity intact, resisting external pressures that may disrupt your inner tranquility. This approach not only protects your integrity, but also invites others to engage in honest and constructive communication. The distortion of language not only causes misunderstandings, but can also damage relationships, create discord, and prevent effective communication. We need to be aware of its dangers and try to avoid it in our conversations. Learn to recognize the signs of language distortion, such as exaggeration, misrepresentation, or drawing false conclusions. When you notice this, stop and ask questions to clarify the situation. It's important to stick to the truth and not allow others to distort your words. Repeat what you've said clearly, and don't let yourself be drawn into an endless argument. Clarity is a powerful tool in communication. When you use clear and precise language, you reduce the risk of being misunderstood and can steer the conversation in a positive direction. Staying calm is key when dealing with distorted words. When you are calm, you can think more clearly and can give more reasonable responses. Active listening is a way to better understand what others are saying. Try to understand their point of view before responding. This can help you avoid misunderstandings and may help you find common ground. Use open-ended questions to encourage others to explain their point of view in more detail. This can help you better understand what they are saying and can help you find common ground. Create a safe space where people can express their views honestly without fear of criticism or judgment. This can help reduce the risk of language distortion and can help create a more effective communication environment. Always focus on the goal of the conversation. What do you want to achieve? This can help you avoid being drawn into unnecessary arguments and can help you focus on finding a solution. Be aware of your emotions and don't let them control your actions. When you feel angry or frustrated, take a moment to calm down before responding. This can help you provide more reasonable responses. Sometimes, others distort your words not intentionally, but because they are being swayed by emotions. Try to forgive them and continue the conversation constructively. 3. Handle the storm of questions. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where a question was posed in a way that made you feel cornered, as if agreeing to an answer meant accepting something you didn't believe in? These seemingly harmless questions often contain subtle assumptions designed to challenge your perspective or force you into a defensive position. They don't just shake your confidence, but can also push you into responding in ways the asker intends. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us that our greatest power lies in how we choose to react. Instead of rushing to answer, you can dissect the question, clarify your stance, and refuse to let your emotions take over. I recall a family gathering where a relative, known for their candid remarks, asked me, "Do you really think spending so much time reading those books is the best way to live your life?" The question carried not only an evaluation of my reading habits as ineffective, but also an underlying implication that I was wasting my time. A quick response could have put me on the defensive, justifying or even arguing the value of reading. Instead, I chose to respond calmly. I believe everyone finds value in life in their own way. For me, books offer perspectives I can't find elsewhere. What do you find most meaningful in how you spend your time? This answer not only defended my point of view, but also redirected the conversation towards mutual understanding and shared insights. These traps aren't limited to family settings. They pop up in everyday life as well. I remember watching a friend navigate a tricky situation while shopping. A salesperson asked, "Do you want this dress or that one? I think both would look great on you." The underlying assumption was that my friend had already decided to buy one, creating pressure for her to choose rather than deciding whether to buy at all. Rather than succumbing to the assumption, she replied with poise, "Thank you for the compliment. I'm still exploring some options. If I need help, I'll let you know." Her response allowed her to maintain control over her decision without feeling cornered. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that in any situation, the most important thing is not the question posed, but how we choose to respond. When faced with complex or leading questions, don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Pause and analyze the question logically and respond with clarity. If someone asks, "Don't you think spending too much time on a hobby is wasteful?" resist the urge to defend yourself immediately. Instead, respond with something like, "I believe every hobby brings value in its own way. For me, it's how I recharge and find joy. What about you? What brings meaning to your life?" This not only protects your stance, but also invites a meaningful conversation rather than an argument. When encountering questions designed to impose pressure or assumptions, remember that you always have the power to choose your reaction. Stay grounded in what you truly believe, and don't let others dictate the narrative. As Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In every situation, remain steadfast with calm and self-control. By doing so, you not only safeguard your inner peace, but also send a powerful message that you are not easily swayed by external pressures. This is the true strength of resilience and wisdom. Learn to analyze the structure of a question to recognize potential assumptions. A leading question often contains a hidden intention and is not really aimed at seeking an answer. There are many ways to answer a barrage of questions without feeling pressured to defend yourself. You can answer with a question in return, give a general answer, or simply say that you don't want to answer. You are under no obligation to answer a question immediately. Take time to think and give a meaningful response. This also helps you avoid being drawn into an unnecessary argument. In some cases, using humor can be an effective way to relieve tension and break the barrage of questions. However, be careful not to hurt or offend others. Sometimes the person asking the questions doesn't intend to be overwhelming, but simply doesn't understand the situation clearly. Ask questions to understand their perspective better, which may help you answer more effectively. Don't be drawn into unnecessary arguments. Always focus on the truth and don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. You have the right to set boundaries in conversations. If someone keeps asking pressing questions, you have the right to say that you don't want to continue the conversation. To be able to deal with a barrage of questions effectively, you need to practice confidence. You need to believe in yourself and your values. Each time you encounter such a situation, take time to think about what you could have done better in the future. This will help you become better at dealing with difficult situations. Be aware of the effect of pressing questions on your emotions. This will help you avoid being drawn into negative reactions and can help you maintain calm. 4. Respect the truth and avoid creating a straw man. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where your words were twisted so much that they no longer resembled what you originally said? Moments like these can be incredibly frustrating, pushing us to the edge of losing our composure and engaging in unnecessary arguments. But is distorting someone else's perspective in retaliation really the way to defend yourself? Stoicism reminds us that real value lies not in winning or losing an argument, but in maintaining integrity and treating others with honesty, even when they don't extend the same courtesy to us. I remember a situation that occurred at a book club meeting. One member shared their opinion about a novel, saying, "I think the protagonist is genuinely selfish in how she treats the people around her." Immediately, another member responded, "So you're saying she's a horrible person and doesn't deserve any sympathy?" This reply not only distorted the original opinion, but also escalated the discussion unnecessarily. Instead of reacting defensively, the first person calmly replied, "No, I don't think she's entirely horrible. I just noticed that some of her actions could come across as selfish, but I understand that everyone may see her differently. What's your perspective?" This approach not only clarified their stance, but also shifted the tone of the conversation back to a constructive discussion and reduced tension in the room. These conversational traps, where others twist our viewpoints, often test our emotional resilience. Instead of retaliating with similar distortions, a Stoic chooses to separate themselves from negative emotions and focus on understanding and clarifying the truth. Imagine being at a family gathering and a relative suddenly remarks, "Why do you always think you're better than everyone?" This accusatory statement could easily provoke anger. However, instead of reacting emotionally, you might calmly respond, "I don't think I'm better than anyone. Is there something about how I've acted that made you feel that way?" This response not only clarifies your position, but also opens the door to better understanding the other person's feelings without escalating the conflict. Stoicism teaches us that inner peace does not come from controlling what others say or do, but from controlling how we respond. When someone deliberately distorts your words, remember that you don't have to participate in their game. Detaching your emotions from their provocation and standing firm in your truth is the best way to maintain your inner stability. If necessary, use questions to steer the conversation toward a more productive direction, rather than allowing yourself to be dragged into unnecessary confrontations. Ask yourself what the true goal of this dialogue is. Is it worth arguing, or should you focus on holding your ground while encouraging a more meaningful discussion? As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good person should be one." Living true to the facts not only protects you from pointless debates, but also demonstrates your true strength of character. By staying composed and facing every situation with integrity, you not only preserve your self-respect, but also earn the respect of others. That is the true power of a Stoic. We understand that there is a difference between opinions and truth. Opinions may differ, but truth remains truth. When someone distorts your words, focus on protecting the truth, not just defending your opinion. Learn about the concept of a straw man in logic. This is a fallacy where one distorts or exaggerates an opponent's argument to easily attack it. When you recognize someone using a straw man, call them out on it. Instead of just reacting to words, try to understand the intention behind those words. Why is the other person distorting your words? What is driving their actions? Understanding the intention can help you respond more effectively. When speaking, try to use clear and precise language. Avoid using vague or misleading words. This will help reduce the risk of distortion. If you feel someone is distorting your words, ask them to clarify what they mean. Don't be afraid to ask questions to better understand their perspective. Don't let others provoke you by using a straw man. Stay calm and don't let yourself be drawn into an unnecessary argument. You have the right to defend yourself when distorted. This doesn't mean you have to be aggressive or retaliate, but it does mean you have the right to speak the truth and not let others take advantage of you. To deal with such situations effectively, you need to practice patience. You will not be able to change others overnight, but you can change how you react to them. Sometimes you will need support from others to overcome difficult situations. Do not hesitate to seek help from friends, family, or a counselor. Sometimes others distort your words not intentionally, but because they are being swayed by their emotions. Try to forgive them and continue the conversation constructively. 5. Use visual imagery to convey a deep message. Have you ever found yourself in a tense conversation where your words felt sharp, not to connect but to defend? Sometimes aggression doesn't come from tone or content, but from how we wield words like blades instead of extending open arms. However, in Stoic philosophy, the true power of words lies not in proving you're right, but in their ability to touch someone else's soul, evoke empathy, and open new perspectives. One of the most subtle and effective tools to achieve this is using visual imagery. Vivid metaphors can clarify complex ideas and express compassion while still delivering profound messages simply. The use of imagery is not about imposing your view, but rather guiding the other person gracefully. When we communicate with others through tangible metaphors, we don't just help them understand our point, but create a space for them to explore their own feelings. If someone is angry, criticizing something they cannot control, you might say, "Your anger is like a fire. It can destroy everything, or, if controlled, it can become the energy to light the way ahead." Such words not only soothe, but also invite reflection on how they're approaching their challenges. Stoic philosophy teaches us that communication isn't about winning, it's about building. Using imagery is not a way to prove who is right, but a tool to encourage mutual understanding and respect. When someone misinterprets your words, instead of arguing, you might say, "Words are like mirrors. They reflect what we bring into the conversation. If you see anger, perhaps it's showing something you're holding within." This image not only helps them reconsider their perspective, but also prompts them to question their own emotions. When we choose to communicate with imagery, we practice kindness and understanding. Metaphors not only clarify, but create a safe space for dialogue where no one feels threatened or pressured. Remember, your words aren't meant to combat others, but to connect and guide. When faced with aggression or misunderstanding, ask yourself, what can I say that not only preserves my peace, but also helps them see the issue in a better light? This is precisely how Stoic philosophy encourages us to engage with the world, with calmness, compassion, and the power of wisdom. Using imagery is not about imposing your view, but rather guiding the other person gracefully. When we communicate with others through tangible metaphors, we don't just help them understand our point, but create a space for them to explore their own feelings. If someone is angry, criticizing something they cannot control, you might say, "Your anger is like a fire. It can destroy everything, or if controlled, it can become the energy to light the way ahead." Such words not only soothe, but also invite reflection on how they're approaching their challenges. Stoic philosophy teaches us that communication isn't about winning, it's about building. Using imagery is not a way to prove who is right, but a tool to encourage mutual understanding and respect. When someone misinterprets your words, instead of arguing, you might say, words are like mirrors. They reflect what we bring into the conversation. If you see anger, perhaps it's showing something you're holding within. This image not only helps them reconsider their perspective, but also prompts them to question their own emotions. When we choose to communicate with imagery, we practice kindness and understanding. Metaphors not only clarify, but create a safe space for dialogue where no one feels threatened or pressured. Remember, your words aren't meant to combat others, but to connect and guide. When faced with aggression or misunderstanding, ask yourself, what can I say that not only preserves my peace, but also helps them see the issue in a better light? This is precisely how Stoic philosophy encourages us to engage with the world, with calmness, compassion, and the power of wisdom. Metaphor is not just a literary tool, but also a powerful communication tool. They help us understand complex concepts by connecting them to the familiar and tangible. Learn how to use metaphor creatively to convey your message more effectively. Choosing the right image is very important. Choose images that the listener can easily relate to and understand the meaning you want to convey. Use images that are familiar to the other person, close to their environment and experiences. Use images not only to clarify the message, but also to create empathy. Choose images that can touch the listener's emotions, making them feel understood and respected. Use imagery subtly and don't overdo it. Remember that your goal is to connect with the listener, not to show off your abilities. Storytelling is a great way to convey messages through imagery. Share personal stories, true stories, or fables to help listeners better understand your point of view. Encourage others to think in pictures. Ask open-ended questions to help them create images in their minds and better understand your message. Listen to the listener's feedback to see how they understand your message. Don't be afraid to adjust how you use imagery if necessary. Practice communicating with imagery in everyday situations. The more you practice, the more skilled you will become in using this tool. Be flexible in using imagery. Sometimes a simple image is more effective than a complex one. The important thing is that the image is appropriate for the context and purpose of the conversation. Communicate sincerely. Use images to show your understanding and compassion. This will help you build good relationships with others. 6. Reveal that they have already agreed with you. Have you ever felt that in a conversation, the most important thing isn't winning, but finding a deeper connection with the other person? This is where a subtle and profoundly Stoic approach comes in, a way of communicating that doesn't rely on persuasion or dominance, but gently shows the other person that they may have shared your perspective all along. By doing this, You not only diffuse tension, but also build a foundation of mutual respect and understanding, creating meaningful and constructive dialogue. In Stoic philosophy, actions often reveal more than words. When someone criticizes or challenges you, instead of reacting impulsively, a Stoic seeks to understand the deeper motivation behind their actions. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." For a Stoic, listening is an art, not just to understand the surface meaning, but to uncover the values hidden in the other person's words. By illuminating these shared values, you can transform a confrontation into a collaborative conversation. I experienced this firsthand when living in a new community. During a neighborhood meeting, a neighbor expressed frustration over the waste management system, saying it was too complicated and inconvenient. Initially, it felt like they were simply being critical, but instead of reacting defensively, I listened closely. It became clear that their frustration stemmed from a genuine desire to keep our community clean and protect the environment. I responded calmly, "It seems like we both care deeply about maintaining a clean and sustainable neighborhood. Maybe we can work together to make the system more user-friendly." The tension dissipated immediately, and the discussion shifted toward finding solutions together. Stoics understand that the best way to help someone see common ground is through gentle questions. Imagine a longtime friend who opposes a new charitable idea you've proposed. Instead of arguing to defend your position, you could ask, "Do you think your concerns about this idea stem from wanting to preserve values we both respect?" This question not only encourages them to reflect, but also highlights the shared alignment between your views. On another occasion, I discussed finances with a family member who emphasized the importance of saving while arguing that other priorities matter more. Instead of escalating the disagreement, I said, "In a way, we're both looking out for the future. I think we just have different approaches to how we prepare for it." This simple but understanding response not only eased the tension, but also brought us closer by finding common ground. Stoic philosophy reminds us that calmness isn't about avoiding problems, but about uncovering shared truths that may not be immediately apparent. Think about a work scenario where a colleague criticizes your structured approach to processes. Instead of defending yourself, you could ask, "Would you agree that ensuring quality is a top priority for both of us?" This gentle yet insightful question shifts the focus from conflict to collaboration as both parties recognize a mutual commitment to excellence. Stoics don't aim to win conversations. Their goal is not to dominate, but to guide others toward discovering the truth. When you help someone realize that in some way they've already aligned with you, you're not just persuading them, you're inviting them to see a new perspective they may have overlooked. By helping others realize this alignment, you open the door to a shared truth that both sides can embrace without causing hurt or anger. Ultimately, Stoic communication is the art of using truth to enlighten, not coerce. When faced with someone hostile, remember that sometimes the truth is already there. You just need to help them see it. Stoic philosophy is rooted in empathy and patience, encouraging us to guide conversations toward harmony and understanding rather than unnecessary resistance. Listening is not just hearing the words, but also trying to understand the meaning behind them. Pay attention to the other person's body language, tone, and emotions. Active listening helps you recognize common values and goals. Find common ground between you and the other person. Even if you disagree with their viewpoint, try to find points that both of you can agree on. Use open-ended questions to explore the other person's thoughts and feelings. Ask why and how questions to encourage them to share their viewpoint in more detail. Acknowledge the other person's viewpoint, even if you disagree with it. This shows that you respect them and are willing to listen. avoid arguing, and try to find solutions together. Your goal is not to win the argument, but to build a good relationship with the other person. Create consensus by finding common ground and solutions that both sides can accept. Be patient during the communication process. Sometimes it takes time for people to recognize commonalities. Be flexible in your approach. Sometimes you need to adjust how you communicate to suit the specific situation. Communicate sincerely. When you are sincere, others will easily trust and listen to you more. Be self-aware of your emotions and behaviors. This will help you communicate more effectively and avoid negative reactions. Conclusion: a journey to master calm and wise communication. Life will always present challenges, often in the form of people who seek to dominate or confront us. But with these 6 methods, you hold not just sharp communication tools, but a way of life grounded in the calm resilience of Stoicism. This is a journey of mastering your reactions, turning challenges into opportunities for growth. Every word you speak and every action you take becomes an expression of inner strength, a quiet power that doesn't need to shout to be seen, but radiates from a place of peace and understanding. In modern life, we are often caught up in rushed and stressful communication. We are easily agitated by harsh words and unfair actions. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control what others say or do, but we can control how we react. The 6 methods we have discussed today are not just communication skills, but also principles of life that help us maintain calm, self-respect, and integrity in every situation. When we practice these methods, we gradually become wiser and more effective communicators. Recognize hidden assumptions. We learn how to recognize hidden assumptions behind words, avoid being drawn into pointless arguments, and protect our viewpoints. Escape the trap of distorted words. We learn how to escape the trap of distorted words, stay true to the truth, and avoid being manipulated. Handle the storm of questions. We learn how to handle the storm of pressing questions, remain calm, and respond intelligently. Respect the truth. We learn how to respect the truth and avoid creating straw men, building constructive conversations. Use visual imagery. We learn how to use visual imagery to convey deep messages, create empathy, and connect. Discover shared ground. We learn how to discover that others have agreed with us from the beginning, building good relationships. These methods are not only applicable to heated arguments, but also useful in everyday communication, at work, and in family and friend relationships. When we communicate in the spirit of Stoicism, we create a more positive communication environment that encourages respect and mutual understanding. Final advice: remember that the journey to master calm and wise communication is an ongoing process. We will not be perfect right away, but if we persevere in our practice, we will continue to improve. Start by applying a few of the methods that you find easiest. Practice in everyday situations and observe the changes you notice. Always ask yourself, what can I do to communicate more effectively? Always remember that you are not alone on this journey. There are many people striving to communicate better, and you can learn from their experiences. Share your thoughts and experiences with others and work together to build a civil communication community. Which of these methods impressed you the most? Or perhaps you've encountered a situation where these approaches could have made all the difference. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments. It's not just an opportunity for you to tell your story, but also a way to inspire others who are seeking their own answers. If what you've learned today has brought you a sense of peace or sparked a spark of positive change, take a moment to hit the like button. By doing so, you're not only affirming the value of these insights, but also helping spread this positive energy to the wider community. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to ensure you don't miss the next impactful lesson. Perhaps you know someone who could use a bit of encouragement or a new perspective. Share this video with them. Sometimes, Small gestures like this can become an unexpected gift of hope. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we will continue to explore deeper, more meaningful insights together.